This morning for you on Daybreak, details on what caused a fire at a condo in Lake of the Ozarks last night.
And police are investigating a deadly shooting that happened in Springfield this morning. We'll check in with Caller 10's Bailey Stroll, who is live out there for the latest details. Those stories and more this morning on Daybreak. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Today is Wednesday, June 17th. I'm Jennifer Abreu.
And I'm Joe Morano. Plenty to get to as we start off hour number 2 of Daybreak. Of course, we also want to check in with Elisa Rappa. She's here this morning to tell us about a pleasant Wednesday on tap. Right, Elisa?
Weather in the forecast, not just reptiles, alligators and crocodiles, but I truly have been learning a lot with those kids at the Discovery Center. So
yeah,
this is what I've been doing on my free time, guys.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing with us because the kids are learning, we're learning it too. I love the random facts, fun facts with Elisa Rappa on Daybreak.
Yeah, we did the heart yesterday, so if you're interested, that lesson is on my Facebook page. So there you go.
Very nice.
Check it out.
Appreciate that. What about this morning? How are we starting out?
We are starting out with lots of sunshine. It's a really pretty start. Bright yellows and oranges out there this morning. Very pretty. Just a few clouds. It's 64 degrees in Springfield on some southerly winds at 9 miles per hour and dew points in the middle 50s. So it's cooler in some spots by about 5 to 10 degrees. Not quite as muggy as yesterday. It's 64 degrees in Ava, 56 in Mountain Grove, and 58 degrees in Fort Leonard Wood. You're a little bit stickier to the west with dew points in the lower 60s, and you're more comfortable for most of us with those dew points in the 50s. So you can see that on the muggy meter map. Most of us feeling pretty good out there this morning. You'll have dry roads out there today, mostly sunny skies, maybe a storm or two, but like the last few days, the storm chances stay real isolated. Sunshine means your packages will be dry, maybe an isolated storm to the west, but otherwise a dry delivery for you today if you're waiting for a package with that high at 85 degrees. So mostly sunny again with an isolated storm chance. We stay pretty summery, but an active pattern returns. Details on that in 10 minutes.
Lisa, thank you. We do have some breaking news to tell you about this morning. Police are investigating a deadly shooting on the southwest side of Springfield. Caller 10's Bailey Stroll is out there live right now. Bailey, what can you tell us about this? What have you been able to find out this morning?
I actually just got an update, Jennifer, from Lieutenant Curtis Ringgold with the Springfield Police Department. He tells us that they believe that there was some type of disturbance that happened on a third-floor apartment here at the Golden Pond apartment complex off of Republic Road in southwest Springfield. So they believe that the victim was actually just outside the front door and in the breezeway when they were shot, and we now know that was a man. He was then somehow ended up at Hillcrest and Republic Road, and we have some photos that we will be having online soon, ozarksfirst.com, of some clothing and other ringgold that are now in the road where we believe the victim was eventually picked up and brought to the hospital where they later died of injuries. But Ringgold telling us that he's not quite sure how they got from the apartment just over here to the intersection over here. They believe maybe he rode in a car at the time before being dropped off. And then as I was coming back from that interview with Ringgold, I was walking through a grassy area just outside of the Come and Go, and I looked down and I spotted, if you would believe it, a gun that was just outside of the crime scene tape. So of course police have now extended that tape a little bit and are investigating that scene a little further. They believe that possibly the suspect or somebody involved had tossed it out of the windows, kind of sticking out of the ground. So it had definitely not just been laid there, it had to have fallen. And what else we know now is that the suspects, well, not suspects, but those who police believe that were in the apartment at the time of the shooting have been taken to police headquarters. They are now being questioned there. Nobody has been taken into custody as we know of yet, but they say those who were at the apartment are cooperating. Reporting in Springfield, Bailey Stroll, Ozarks First.
We will continue to check in with Bailey throughout the hour there. We've got an update from Springfield Police on a different shooting from last night. 2 people were found dead inside a home in the 1500 block of North Golden. They are residents of the home, and police believe it's a murder-suicide. The victims are 1 man and 1 woman, likely in their 20s. The couple's baby was also found inside, not injured, and is now in the custody of a family member. The victims' names have not been released yet.
The two deceased subjects were inside a bedroom, and it does not appear that the child had any access to that, to see that or involve that or compromise the crime scene at all.
At last check, police do not have any suspects and believe this was an isolated incident.
A fire broke out at the Emerald Bay condos on Lake of the Ozarks last night. Crews are investigating after a large fire tore through the condos. Flames were bursting through the roof and most of the structure. This happened off of Horseshoe Bend Parkway in Lake Ozark. No injuries were reported. The state fire marshal will investigate.
Prime Trucking Company has kept a close eye on civil unrest and the pandemic this year. Director of Safety there, Steve Field, says they, like many others, have made it a priority to keep their drivers safe in regard to both of those topics. Now, when it comes to COVID, Prime has many of the same things other businesses do with temperature checks, and the drivers have been relied on to keep their own trucks sanitized and, of course, limit contact. One way they've done that is by not even getting out of their trucks to load or unload. As far as protests go, he says they haven't had any incidents, and Field says being able to communicate with their drivers is key, as is staying aware.
We've been very fortunate that the demonstrations have been somewhat isolated in some of the larger cities. I'm not aware of any of our drivers that have been negatively impacted, but they have to be aware. They've got to be focused the whole time. We don't want them to get into a situation then that may escalate and cause harm to themselves or other people.
Now, Field says they aren't too concerned with recent unrest or areas where police may be defunded, as they encourage their drivers not to enter an area if they don't feel safe in doing so.
We have an update on coronavirus cases for you now. Both Greene and Christian counties are warning about potential exposures. There was 5 new locations in Springfield from last week and 1 in Christian County as well. Full details on those locations can be found on ozarksfirst.com. Meanwhile, Cox Health says it's concerned about the rising number of cases in our region. The hospital says you can help by wearing a mask. In most of the recent cases, patients were infectious, symptomatic, and not wearing a mask. Right now, Greene County is only averaging a few new cases a day. We're up to 232 in total. Christian County had 2 new cases as of yesterday as well.
The city of Springfield now has nearly $1 million in coronavirus aid funds. Here's how council wants to spend it. $180,000 will go to affordable housing and rent assistance. The city already has an additional $200,000 that will be added on top. Local businesses will be able to apply for forgivable recovery loans that'll add up to a total of $400,000. And finally, $330,000 will go to help the homeless. The city will work with local agencies to help disperse that money.
News from around the region now. Nearly 8,000 Arkansans have recovered from the coronavirus, and now they're wondering if that means they have gained immunity. Dr. Gary Berner is the chief medical officer for a community clinic, and he says there's still a lot we don't know about this virus. Some people have had COVID-19 twice, and he says that may be just their body's reaction or small mutations. He says it appears there's some level of immunity, which is why antibody tests are becoming more popular. But he doesn't recommend you revert to a pre-COVID daily routine if you have recovered.
Doesn't mean that you might not have a 2 or 5 day window that you could still spread it around.
If you've recovered, Berner says you want to think of those around you, following guidelines, protect them regardless.
Jailers and inmates are dealing with COVID-19 within a Benton County jail. Both a staff member and an inmate have tested positive, according to Lieutenant Shannon Jenkins with the sheriff's office there. Jenkins says every inmate and employee is being tested by the Arkansas Department of Health, and neither of the people who tested positive were previously showing any symptoms.
In education coverage, Springfield Public Schools is hosting a supply drive to equip more than 7,000 students with school supplies. This year, the district is also providing face masks and disinfecting materials. The supplies are needed by August 1st. A full list of needed items can be found on sbs.org, and you can also make financial contributions to this drive.
Starting in July, Missouri will resume food stamp recertification requirements. The Family Services Division has begun sending letters to households who will need to be recertified. More than 16,000 households are due for that recertification.
We're starting out nice this morning. It is 64 degrees in Springfield, some cooler 50s back to the east, and most of us are feeling pretty comfortable out there this morning with greens on the Muggy meter map. Details on an active pattern returning, though, coming up right after the break.
From Color 10 Ozarks First, Jennifer Abreu, Joe Morano, and weather with meteorologist Alisa Raffa. This is Color 10 News Daybreak.